Yo everyone, and welcome back to my channel. So today I'm going to be doing a review and showing you some swatches of the brand new eyeshadow palettes by Huda Beauty, and I'm sure you already know what they're called. They are the Huda Beauty Obsessions palettes. So I have actually picked up all four of them, obviously. Come on, you guys knew that I would. You knew that I would, right? Yeah, of course. As soon as she released or announced that she was releasing these, actually, due to an insider friend of mine, I kind of knew about these a few months ago. I will not disclose any details or names or anything like that. I kept it to myself because I would never, you know, do that kind of thing, even though they did, but still. Yeah, so I've known about this for quite a while, and I only literally knew that she was releasing small eyeshadow palettes. That is literally all that I knew, so it wasn't even worth mentioning, to be fair. So I was really looking forward to these coming out, and she announced the release of these shortly after, or I think it was actually leaked, that she was announcing these after the release of the Faux Filter foundation, of which I just wanted to mention an FYI. I'm actually wearing it today and I've bought another colour. Now, even though I didn't give it the best review, I'm sure a lot of you guys have seen it, I don't hate the foundation. This is what people seem to have kind of got the wrong end of the stick. When I talk about things, I do talk with a lot of passion. I'm not aggressive. Even though some people may assume that that is the way that I come across. It's just the way that I talk. But if you obviously know me in person, have met me, a lot of you guys out there have met me in the street, am I aggressive, or am I happy to give you a hug and take a photo? So it's more a matter of confidence in the way that I speak to the camera, so don't be afraid. But I did mention that I wasn't the greatest fan of it. However, the colour itself that I bought, Dulce de Leche, which is 350G, was a bit light for me. So I went and bought Baklava 340G, and that matches. Makes sense. The lighter shade is actually darker than the darker shade. So anyway, so that's what I'm wearing today. And on my lips I'm wearing Huda Beauty's Brown Sugar. Is it Brown Sugar? No. Girlfriend? Forgotten. I think it's Girlfriend liquid lipstick. I will link it below, and I've got Shameless lip strobe on top. Anyway, back to the eyeshadow palettes. So they retail in at £25 each. I bought mine from Cult Beauty. They're also available on Selfridges, and I'm sure they're available at Harrods by now as well. I am going to be putting this video up quite quickly, just so that I know that because I know that a lot of you guys will be eager to get your hands on them. So let's talk about the packaging first. So the first one I'm going to refer to is just this one here, which is the Mauve Obsessions one. So as you can see, the packaging is very similar to, or exactly the same as the larger eyeshadow palettes. Comes with the same kind of cardboardy type packaging, and then, flop. And then inside you can see this is what the eyeshadow palettes itself look like. Comes with a really nice, decent sized mirror inside. And the eyeshadow pans Huda has actually shown on her Snapchat, they are the same size as the ones in the larger palettes. The only reason they look like they might be smaller is because obviously you can see between the gaps of each one there is less space, so she's compacted 9 together, whereas the other ones have got, what is it, 18, and they're more spread out. So don't get confused into thinking that these are smaller. They are exactly the same size, and it's magnetic. And then you can see the shades on the top, and then you've got the usual kind of jargon on the back. So altogether she has released 4. So there is the Mauve Obsessions, there's the Smokey Obsessions, there is the Electric Obsessions, and then there is the Warm Browns Obsessions. Now that basically means that there is something for everybody. It is just down to personal preference. Now straight off, I'm sure you guys will be interested to know what my favourite is out of all of these, and I would have to say that I have gravitated more towards the Mauve Obsessions palette. And then after that I would probably say the Warm Browns Obsessions, and then Electrics. I'm actually wearing the smoky one on my eyes today, and then it's, I don't really dislike the Electric Obsessions or Smoky. I think that the Electric one, the only reason that this one is probably the least popular one is because not everybody goes for these kind of colours. That's all it is. It doesn't mean that it's poor quality. It doesn't mean that it's horrible. It doesn't mean that it's ugly. It doesn't mean that at some point in your life you may not want to invest in it. It's just that when it comes to makeup in general, most women or men tend to go for things that they can wear on a day-to-day basis. And obviously the Electric one, which is the bright coloured one, is something that not everybody tends to go for all the time. So they will generally tend to gravitate more towards the other ones. And I personally really love the mauve ones. Now, in terms of quality of these, I will give these a 10 out of 10. I absolutely love them. If you remember my review that I did on the Desert Dusk eyeshadow palette not long ago, I specifically stated that for the year of 2017, that has turned out to be my favourite eyeshadow palette of the year. It is now November. I have still not come across anything that I could say hand on my heart is better than that one, so I'm going to stick with that one. And I would say that the quality has followed over onto these eyeshadow palettes as well. The quality is excellent. The mattes are buttery, they're pigmented, they're easy to blend. I don't find any issues with snagging or dragging or anything like that, and I genuinely think that no matter which one you buy, you will be happy with all of them. Again, it will just be down to personal preference of what your choice is. I will at the end, towards the end, after I've shown you guys all of these, I will do a quick comparison to the other eyeshadow palettes, just in case you guys are thinking like, should I really buy this one if there are so many similar shades in the other one? But that's down to you. Now, these are £25, like I said, and altogether you get 9 eyeshadows. And in terms of cost comparison compared to the larger palettes, so the larger ones that I both have right here for you guys now, they're both £56, and there is 18 eyeshadows. So obviously there is 9 in these and there are 25. So let's do 25 times 25, making it 18, makes it £50. So that makes this more expensive than buying 2 of these. So she has slightly reduced the price to make it a little bit more affordable for you guys. In terms of traveling, she's made it really small. If you think of other eyeshadow palettes, like for example, I think I showed the Too Faced one the other day. I think there were 9 or 12 in there. It's still quite big and bulky. And this is 9 and it's so small. It's smaller than my hand. Easy to just pop in your handbag, in your makeup bag. If you've got a tiny makeup bag that you carry around in your handbag or your purse every single day, you'll be able to fill the, put this in there. You'll be able to put a couple in there. So I really think that it's good for traveling. The mirror is decent size as well. I love eyeshadow palettes which have got mirrors inside it. It just makes it so much easier than having to dip your brush over here and then have to use a different mirror. And the mattes are amazing quality, and then the metallic shades as well are great as well. I do have to say that some of the metallics are better applied, or I'm just calling them metallics, I'm not sure what the actual name is, and each one varies depending on which one you have decided to buy. But overall, I am very, very happy with these. So what I'm going to do is I am going to swatch all. They don't have names. They don't have specific names to each shadow. So I'm just going to have to refer to it by the actual palette itself. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to swatch all of them on my hand and just give you my general overview thoughts of all of them. Otherwise, we will be here all day if I go, this one is red, this one is matte, this one is duh. So let's just go through all of them. So this one, as I've shown you guys, is the Mauve Obsessions palette. And within here you have got 8 matte shades, and then you have got 1 foiled shade in the middle. So here you can see all of the shades from the Mauve Obsessions palette. Beautiful colours, obviously warm toned eyeshadows, perfect for what a lot of people tend to go for. I find all of them equally pigmented and very easy to blend. The mattes are quite soft, they kick up a slight amount of powder but nothing too dissimilar to the other 2 big eyeshadow palettes. This one here is like a foiled shadow. Definitely it's better applied with your finger, which is slightly annoying because not all of us have got teeny tiny fingers. Some of us have got long nails. You end up jabbing your eye, but you can use a brush if you choose to do so, but it may be a little bit more difficult. The only issue I would say I have with this palette is that it is literally all matte bar that one shadow at the bottom. So that basically means that every time you want to apply something to your lid, if you're anything like me and you really like to kind of apply shimmery shades to the lid, you've only got one option. And I like the fact that there is a pale shade here, but I really would have liked maybe 1 or 2 more shimmers or satins thrown in there rather than all mattes and then just one other eyeshadow. If you ignore that one, you can create a lot more other looks in the crease, different types of looks, but unfortunately you will always have to go back to that one to use on your lid, which can be slightly frustrating if you are anything like me. So this is the next one, which is the Smokey Obsessions palette, and this is what it looks like from the outside. And then you open it up and this is what the inside looks like. What I like about this is this one, unlike the previous one, has got 5 metallic shades within it, as you can see, and then there are 4 matte shades inside, meaning you can create so many different versatile looks, beautiful, sexy, smoky eyes. You can go from daytime to nighttime with this palette as well, but I would personally really more use this for kind of nighttime looks. but I think it's genuinely a really pretty palette. So this is the Smokey Obsessions palette. As you can see, the metallics are super, super intense, but I would definitely say that this one here and probably that one there, which is, well, I can't remember the names, but you know what I mean. The ones in the palette are really, really intense. This one is not so intense, but it's probably just because it's a slightly darker shade. The black is super, super matte black. I really like this pale brown sort of caramel shade in the palette. I've used it as a transitional shade. It really kind of helps to blend out those darker mattes. And this one here, which is in the bottom right hand corner of the palette, this one I actually didn't have a problem applying it with a brush. So I think it's the ones where when you look at them and they appear to look quite thick and buttery, they're the ones that you have to use your finger for, and then you can just use a brush to blend out the edges. But overall, I think this is another very, very pretty, gorgeous palette that quite a lot of people will love. So this one is the Electric Obsessions palette, and this is what it looks like on the outside. And then when you open it up, you can see these super, super bright shades, and there are 3 metallics and 6 matte shades. I maybe would have preferred 1 more metallic, because I don't really think that it is necessary to have so many matte bright shades. I personally would have preferred the yellow to be metallic. If you've seen previous videos of mine, you know how I feel about matte yellows. Not a lot of companies, I don't think I've ever found a single company that is able to pull it off so well, but when you have it as a metallic, it's so much more intense. But anyway, so this is what this one looks like. So this is the Electric Obsessions palette. As you can see, it is very, very bright. Just a word of warning, because I did wear this yesterday. I wore these bright pink shades and they do stain your eyelids. So when you clean it off, make sure you use an oil-based makeup remover, or you will wake up like I did with slightly red-looking eyes, making you worried that you've got some sort of eye condition. But overall, I think this palette is beautiful, is gorgeous for all kinds of bright looks. Every single colour there has been represented. The only one that isn't so much is green, but I think the fact that this teal shade makes up for that. I definitely think the teal shade is the brightest out of the 3. I think that the purple is slightly more muted, but I did wear this on my lid. I have been inserting all the pictures of me wearing these palettes, by the way, just for reference, so you can see the kind of looks I came up with. But this is a gorgeous, gorgeous palette. All the shades are very, very pigmented, very easy to blend and work well together as well. I don't think that there will be any shade here that you generally tend to leave out. You know how with some palettes you end up leaving out a shade now and then, but I don't really find that that will happen with this palette. So overall, for a bright palette, if that's what you're on the lookout for, definitely check this one out. Now I have of course left the best till last, and this is the Mauve Obsessions palette, and this is what it looks like inside. It has 3 metallics and it has 6 matte shades, and they are absolutely stunning, gorgeous, beautiful. Love them. So this is the Mauve Obsessions palette. As you can see, the shades are absolutely beautiful and stunning. I don't know what it is, guys. I don't really get mauve from this. Mauve to me is like a purpley sort of shade, and these are more kind of cranberry sort of tones. I mean, I think the closest to mauve is probably this one here. So I don't know what you guys think about that. And this shade here is slightly, you can't see it that well, probably because I've swatched it with my fingers and it is applied better with a brush. It's a really nice kind of taupey transitional shade. This one here, which is my favourite, is probably the one that's going to run out first, because I've noticed it's the most difficult to pick up on a brush. So definitely applied better with a finger, because already mine's got quite a hefty dent in it and I've only used it once. But the shades themselves are beautiful. This shade here is great to use as your tear duct, not tear duct, sorry, your brow bone sort of shade, as well as an all over shade. And then these shimmery shades you can apply to the lid. I've applied this one to the tear duct as well. And then you can mix and match depending on what kind of look you are trying to achieve for that day. But overall, this one is probably my favourite one, just because of the shade range and the way that they all work together really nicely. So it does confuse me slightly when some of the descriptions online say there are satin shades as well. There are no satin shades, it's matte or foiled, and that's it. Some foiled are a lot thicker than others and a lot more buttery than others, and some are applied better with a finger and some are applied fine with a brush and not so well with a finger. So I think it's just a matter of trying them out to see how they work. But personally, I love the mauve one the best. But if you were to get any of the other ones, I don't see it really being a big issue. You can always mix and match as well. Now I'm just going to quickly do a quick comparison to the larger palettes. The electric palette obviously does not match any of them, so that one is a standalone one. Now I've just got this one here, which is the Desert Dusk one, and I've got the Warm Obsessions one. Now I would personally say that there are no shades in this palette which match the Warm Obsessions one. So if you have this, you can get this, that's fine. And in terms of the Smokey Obsessions palette, again, I don't really see any similar shades. Celestial, no, that's a duochrome, that doesn't really go with that one. So no. So if you have this, you can get this and you don't have to worry about repetition. And then you've got the Warm Brown Obsessions palette. I would say that blazing is similar to this orange one, but not the same. Blazing is a lot more of an intense orange. And let's see, Amber and Saffron in this palette. I would say Saffron is a lot more red. These are a lot more orange. I think maybe Amber is similar to this one here in the corner. Similar but not the same. Oud is definitely, it looks almost the same as this shade here in the corner. And that's probably it. So you can still get your hands on this one if you want to, but it's only one shade which is similar. So one shade, you can kind of allow that one. So I'm going to now show you the other one, which is the Textured Rose Gold palette. So again, from what I can see from looking at them, this one is the Mauve Obsessions palette. Bossy is maybe slightly similar to this one on the top left hand side. Similar, but not the same. I would say that this one is a bit darker, a bit more deeper. And that's about it really. So if you have got this, you can get this. And then with the Smoky palette, obviously there is a black truffle and then there's a black shade in here. Both are black, so blacks are blacks. That's the same. And then Sandalwood I know is a bit deeper than that kind of caramel shade here. And I would say that maybe Cocoa. No, actually this one is more of a cool tone brown. Cocoa is more of a warm tone brown. And maybe Blessed is similar. So there are a few similar shades, but not too similar. So I think that may be down to personal preference about whether or not you want to get this one or this one. And then in terms of the Warm Obsessions palette, I would say that Henna is probably very similar to this one on the bottom right hand side. And Mani is quite red. These are more orangey. So Sandalwood is probably a little bit similar to this one at the bottom in the middle. And the Bay is similar to this one here. So there are 3 shades which are similar-ish, but the rest seem to be fairly unique. I'm sure Huda would not have released all these mini palettes if she knew that you would have been able to get them in the other palettes as well. So there are slight similarities, but they are still quite different. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Like, comment, subscribe. Let me know what your thoughts are. Which ones are you going to get? Which ones have you got? Which ones are you thinking about getting? What are your thoughts? Let me know in the info bar below, and I'll see you all in the next one.